They say that you are the average of the friends and company you keep. So I want us to improve our average together. I want us to become smarter, more successful, healthier, happier, and more fulfilled in our everyday lives. Think about it. The stronger we are as individuals, the more we can serve those around us. I'll be interviewing friends that happen to be experts in their field, and I invite you to join in on the conversation. So, welcome to the I Have Cool Friends podcast, a show that sparks inspirational conversations with experts about business, wellness, and personal development. Welcome back to the I Have Cool Friends podcast. I am so excited to have Demi Marchese. Did I say it right?
You did. I'm shocked.
Demi Marchese on the show today. She's an entrepreneur and founder of a women's lifestyle brand, 12th Tribe. And I can't wait to dive into the details today. So Demi, I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. I feel like we should have met years ago.
I know.
We have all these connections and we've like crossed paths on maybe just social. I don't know, but glad to be
here. Yeah. We've had a lot of mutual friends. We were playing the name game before we jumped on here. Obviously have been social media friends. That's how all budding friendships start these days. So I'm happy to finally see you face to face and get to hang out.
Same, girl.
All right. Well, Demi grew up in Northern California and she was just telling me that she was a competitive gymnast, go gymnastics.
Yeah.
She attended.
Fangirl over you because I'm like, you're such a badass gymnast.
Thank you. Thanks. It's so funny because I was just telling you our first couple seasons were gymnastics, pretty much predominantly gymnastics podcasts. So I love when I can have guests on the show that relate to my background as a gymnast because as you know, it is such a rigid lifestyle growing up.
Oh my gosh.
How many hours did you train?
45 a week. Like I was 8 to 12. I mean, you were there, right? It's like the 40 hours and I was obsessed. I think all gymnasts too that are like passionate about it become obsessed. So I didn't want to leave the gym. I was like, can I come in on the weekends? Can I stay late? It was quite rigorous. And then we're like holding planks at age 8 and 6-packs at age 9.
I know. I'm laughing because I work out now and I would say that I'm still fit and you're still fit, but I couldn't imagine doing some of the stuff that I did when I was 8 years old. I don't know if you did TOPS testing and if any of our listeners out there know what that is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Gymnastics is really just underrated and like how powerful it is to your psyche too. I mean, I wouldn't be here where I'm at today without having been a gymnast. And even though I only did it for 4 years, I went so hard and I learned so much discipline. And I know this segment isn't even about gymnastics, but it seriously has put me, I think, in a place of where I'm at today to be able to withstand things that I've done.
I feel the same way. And you are taught to be fierce at such a young age with the discipline and those transferable life skills, which is why, I'm so passionate about the gymnastics world still and helping gymnasts, turn these women into warriors, because I think that it's such an amazing sport that whether you stay in gymnastics or whether you go on to the fashion world, you have those tools to be successful at whatever you're passionate about. And I feel like that you're such a testament to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's multiple times where I've been really tempted to quit and because it's so hard. And I actually think back to times when I was younger at gymnastics and you go through such like mental and physical challenges where you're like, there's no way I can do this with, levels of conditioning or whatever. Or like having rips on your hands and having to go swing on bars feels like you can't do it, but I've definitely thought about those times and it's gotten me through so much.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I'm right there with you. But I know you attended San Diego State and then when you graduated, pursued a career in fashion. And guys, she basically lived every girl's dream by being a celebrity stylist and even styling Nick Jonas. She then started the 12th Tribe, which is a boho chic festival-inspired clothing and lifestyle brand that I love and I'm currently wearing right now.
Are you cute?
Did you notice?
Oh, I love that. I love that shirt. I wear that all
I love it too. I've gotten so many compliments on it. My mom asked me to borrow it all the time. So you hit the nail on the head with the fashion sense, girl.
Thanks.
So you created this fashion empire, right? And how old are you, by the way?
Forever 21.
Yeah.
Forever 22. I'm 27.
27.
Yeah.
I feel like I can still guess that if they're under the age of 30. I'm 28, so I'm happy to share that with all of you guys because it's really impressive that you have been able to accomplish so much since graduating from college at the age of 27. And I'm sure you're kind of having flashbacks right now of all of the difficult times that led you to where you are now. And I'm really excited to dive into all of that.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely been a journey, that's for sure. And it's wild how much time, not that much time has passed, but how fast it's gone by. So I enjoy doing these because it just gives you a chance to reflect on that crazy few years. So happy.
Yeah, and give yourself a little pat on the back while you're at it.
Yeah.
Well, when you graduated college, did you always know that you wanted to start your own clothing line?
No, I had no idea. I graduated college and I remember my lease had ended and I was just driving around San Diego bawling my eyes out because I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What does my future look like? I have no idea. I was so confused. Was I going to stay in San Diego? I was seeing someone at the time who was in San Diego, but there was no fashion there. I didn't really want to go home because it kind of felt like I was taking a step backwards. The industry, I really wasn't even sure on. So it was definitely not a 100% know-all when I graduated.
I feel like you're describing every college graduate's journey, emotional journey, right? You graduate, you have this oh shit moment of crying in your car. And I just did 4 years of school and I still don't know what I want to do with my life. And then something happens where it all starts falling into place. So what did you do in between the years you graduated and when you started 12th Tribe?
So I actually started 12th Tribe on accident pretty quickly after college. So when I graduated, I feel like a lot of these listeners are girls. So I'll just share this story because I think it's a great learning lesson. But I was seeing someone after college and they lived in San Diego. And like I said before, there isn't really fashion in San Diego. So part of my decision making actually was considering this other person at the time. And I went back home and out of nowhere, he breaks up with me, like literally out of nowhere. And my 22-year-old self is like, the world is coming to an end. I am devastated. I'm like bawling my eyes out. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what I'm doing in my life, whatever. Like this person's great, but the best thing that could have happened to me was him breaking up with me because my entire life changed. I would not be where I'm at today if I was still with that person, which is wild to me. So anyways, after I graduated, I was sending out resumes. I had a dream to work at a big e-commerce company that all the girls loved after college. And I got an interview there, which was really exciting. I was doing a lot of informational interviews too with like CFOs or buyers and just different types of positions at different companies to understand what their roles looked like, what they were doing on a day to day, to try to figure out what I like to do. Because I knew I had passion and I knew I really wanted to work, but I didn't know even what positions to apply for. So I did a lot of informational interviews. I got an interview with this company that I really wanted to work for. I called them for the interview and then I just didn't hear back from them for like the follow-up call for like 2 weeks. So I started working on just projects for fun. You know, I was working at my mom's company to just make some money. I'm also working on like a little project for fun that I'm obsessed with. So they're good. So I had a blog in college and it really was just for myself. And it was just like a style diary, but also had a lot of like inspirational and motivational dialogue within it. So it wasn't just like all about clothes. Anyways, I really just did it for myself. Didn't think anyone was looking at it. I took the blog and launched a little mini store on there and ended up having sales overnight. And this was like before e-commerce is what it is today. So, you know, when that started to happen, I was like, what the heck is this? What is going on? Like, how did people even find this? Like, and everything I had on the site was one of a kind. So once it sold, it was gone. So I started getting up at like 5:30 a.m. and going to flea markets and into the city and sourcing all these one of a kind items to just keep fueling this like demand. And I had no money. I had started with like a few $100s. So, I couldn't go and buy a huge amount of inventory, and I had to just start turning the product. Anyways, so it was probably about 5 months after I graduated that 12th Tribe like became 12th Tribe. And about 4 months after that, I was like, all right, Mom, I'm going to move to LA. Never really have been to LA, but it sounds right. So I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to dress every girl for Coachella. So my back was up against the wall, and, I wasn't really making much money a month when I first started. So when I first moved to LA, that first month, I would say like 12th Tribe really began, because that's when I went to 20 different sororities, dressed hundreds of girls for Coachella. And it was like my first moment of like, okay, I can do this.
That's incredible. I mean, there's a couple things that I want to talk about there. First, that idea of rejection and, being rejected, whether it's in your personal life or with that job you really wanted. You unfortunately had both probably in a short amount of time, which I can't imagine was made you feel amazing. But how you respond to adversity and those challenges, I mean, what was that driving force in you to pick yourself back up and say, no matter what happens, I'm going to still continue to pursue my dream?
I was probably trying to distract myself. Right? Don't want to think about him. No, I wish I could put myself back in that time and really think about where my mindset was to push me into that direction and really lose focus on what was bringing me down. But I did have a great support system. I lived at home with my family, and my mom's an entrepreneur, and it was also exciting right off the bat. So for me, I'm such a creative and a visionary that to be able to put together something, whether it was just like a website or creating the graphics or, writing the copy on the products, that type of stuff just inspired me and would keep me up late at night. And then my mind just started creating this wild vision, and I would just be, writing it all down and getting myself so excited. And it just, I was so passionate about it. And I kind of let that passion, take away everything else that was going on in my life, and really just believe that, whatever happens is supposed to happen. And there's a reason why I'm not going back down to San Diego. And I quickly realized that, because as soon as I was moving to LA, I'm here, like, this was the biggest blessing in disguise. And everyone needs to remember that, because sometimes a door can slam on your face, but 20 other ones open. Everything, as cliche as it is, happens for a reason. And so that happened so early on in my career that, I was able to kind of instill that quickly. But
and LA too. I think LA gets a bad rep from a lot of people. I've been there for 10 years and I know you like LA. And I always tell people you have to live in the right area and surround yourself with the right people to have a good experience in LA. But being surrounded by people in LA, everyone's ambitious. So you have to kind of keep up with the grind, but it's inspiring to wake up every single day and meet so-and-so who just founded this company or, wants to collab with you. And everyone is creative and wanting to, partner and make the community successful. Was that your experience too?
Yes. When I first moved down here, I was connected with someone who was building an e-commerce company that turned into like probably one of the bigger e-com companies during that time. And I went to college with a few of the people that worked there and in their early days. So they were really inspiring for me, because e-commerce was still so new. But to be connected with someone that was just killing it, and, they were a really big inspiration. But, I feel like I've been so fortunate from like that time, because from that group of people, I was introduced to a whole network of e-commerce individuals, or even people that are building businesses. And we would meet every Friday and have like brainstorm sessions and be like, how did you do this? How did you figure this out? So that was all so inspiring. And it is a really unique city, and everyone is on a mission to do something and wants to collaborate. And I wouldn't have been able to get started if people weren't so open-minded to collaborate, because when I first did launch the brand, and it was really just about getting my name out there, and other people wanted to get their name out there. So it was a lot of girls that I worked with, we were all just trying to help each other out. I would go and style them on a shoot and they would have content, or I would need content and I would style them for something else. So there was a lot of trade, and it was fun.
And I think that's honestly when I'm trying to think back of when I first started following you in 12th Tribe. And it had to be in those early days because we have some mutual friends who were in sororities at UCLA going to Coachella. And so I saw my friends all wearing this brand called 12th Tribe. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I've never heard of this before. But before you started your own line, I know you said you were curating items from flea markets. Was that style similar to what we're seeing now with what you're creating?
Yeah, in a sense, the items from these flea markets and stuff was a lot more of like vintage inspired jewelry, or vintage denim, or vintage like t-shirts like we do have on the site right now. It was a lot of like globally inspired pieces as well. I went to Indonesia. I did a buying trip right before I moved to LA, actually. And it was very similar to things that you would find at these flea markets. So they were really unique and cool pieces. And I've tried to intertwine that inspiration into designs that we produce now, for sure, because it's just so unique.
Wow. So how would you describe 12th Tribe brand?
Like the style, or?
Yeah, the style.
I have always said it is like boho meets edge. So California girl meets city edge. So she is loves to travel. She's very relaxed, has a very relaxed style, but also has edge. So it's not too hippie, dippy, boho-y, and it's not too street edge. It's just a little bit in the middle.
So it's more street style meets Coachella. Some of the Coachella styles are fun, but they're not real life.
Yeah.
And this is real life.
Yeah. When we do Coachella, even like when I first started, my mindset was that you're spending so much money on these Coachella outfits that you're going to wear this after. And I'm not going to let you buy a lot of stuff when you come to us that you're never going to be able to wear again. Because I was styling a lot of girls personally, and they'd come into my apartment when I first started, literally out of my apartment, and then into our office. So I was personally doing the styling. And, the biggest thing for me is like, I'm personally attached to those moments, and I can't see someone walk out, spend $1,000 on just like net t-shirts that they're never going to wear. So yeah, we've taken the approach of festival wear for that season that you can take into other moments of your life too.
I'm going to remember that. I want you to style me for Coachella if there ever is going to be a Coachella again.
Yeah, girl, I got you. We open up like an appointment calendar for the 2 months before, and it usually just books out pretty fast. It's free styling. Girls just come in and I put together all of these looks for them because it's so fun.
Awesome. Well, if you guys are in the LA area, you know where to find your festival looks now. But where did the name come from? The 12th Tribe is so unique and I love it. Where was that inspired from?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with any religious affiliation or anything like that. Disclaimer. But the brand was very globally inspired when I started, and I had this like entrepreneurial, I guess that part of me really started to come out, like that spirit of entrepreneurship, when I was studying abroad. And I went to 11 different places and I found inspiration from all of them. I wanted to bring into the 12th. And then the tribe is obviously just like your family, like-minded people. So, yeah.
When you were coming into the fashion industry, obviously there was so many brands already established. So how did you want to differentiate yourself in the fashion industry?
personalization was really important for me. So, like I said, I was dressing girls personally, one on one, and really giving them that unique experience. And that was really important, still is today. But also just stylizing the looks just a little bit more unique than how the market may portray it. I would try to just kind of think outside the box and really just accessorize full looks online for girls to get inspired and not try to just sell a t-shirt. And I really wanted to create a brand that had a story behind it and was inspirational to other girls, or that made them feel like they were a part of something, which is where the tribe really came from. Because for me, building a brand means having an emotional connection with that brand. So when I grew up, I was really, I don't know what it was, but there was, a brand I would shop at and I'd feel so good when I got the items. And if someone else shopped there, I'd be like, oh, cool. It was almost like this way to connect with someone. So for me, I've just really tried to instill the story throughout the brand as it's grown and try to inspire girls and, have it not just be all about the clothes and selling.
It's awesome. Well, I feel like as entrepreneurs, you kind of have to have a rite of passage of not knowing what you're doing. You just wake up every day and you're like, what am I going to learn or tackle, or which fire am I going to put out today? What was one of your big obstacles when you started out?
There was so many, I started with no money really. So having to convince people to work with me or collaborate with me for trade, that wasn't easy. Also, I'm 22 years old trying to carry brands like Free People and Dolce Vita and Citizens of Humanity and going to trade shows with people who are 15 years older than me. And it's a little intimidating. And I didn't feel like they took me seriously, especially because you go up to someone at a trade show and they've never heard of the company. Like I would flip around my tag and just be like, just trust me, don't look at it, just trust me. So, just making sure I kept that confidence, because otherwise, I would not be here at all. But, another thing really was balance. Balance was really, really hard for me in the beginning. And I was obsessed. And it really goes back to gymnastics. To be completely frank, I had a very similar experience with the beginning of my career and my gymnastics career. And I always tried to remind myself what happened in gymnastics. So, I got really burnt out at age 12 and I started at like 7 or 8 and I was obsessed. I was pretty good and I was obsessed and I wanted to just do it all of the time. And by 12, I was burnt out and I hated it. So something that I loved so much became something I hated so much. And it sucked. That made me so sad. So, in the beginning of my career, I kept telling myself like, slow down, slow down, slow down, because you love what you're doing, but you're going to burn yourself out. It's going to turn into gymnastics and you're going to hate it. I learned my lesson in a harder way, but I learned my lesson, and balance is very important.
Balance is very important, but I think any entrepreneur listening to this could relate to your story because usually you're an entrepreneur because you're extremely passionate about something, and B, you are at the beginning, so you want it to be successful. And I've found, I'm kind of laughing when you're telling that story because in gymnastics, I had a coach that was always reminding me, slow down, slow down. We need to take care of your body. You don't want to do too many numbers because you're going to get injured. And no one is your coach as an entrepreneur. You have to be that voice in your own head saying like, slow down, slow down. You don't need to work every single day of the week. What was that, breaking point for you where you finally were like, okay, I need to incorporate balance into the 12th Tribe lifestyle?
Oh man, this is where it gets real.
You haven't done it yet, I guess.
No, I've done it, but it's a really big moment in time. So I don't even think I really shared this before, but at this time in my life, it's you need to learn, you need to teach other people. But basically what happened is, so my balance was so bad. Like I was just working. And Coachella season is really, really stressful for me. and now my team. But during this time, I didn't even have a team. However, I was still just dressing girls all the time and trying to get inventory, going to my vendors by myself, whatever. And I put so much pressure on myself that I actually ended up getting an ulcer in my stomach. Yeah. But the problem is that I didn't know what it was for a long time. And it's really hard to eat when you have an ulcer. And so it's really painful. And what happened is I dropped weight really fast because of this ulcer from stress. Yeah. And I ended up in the hospital for 5 days. Yeah. It was wild.
Wow. So when did they let you know, like, this is from stress?
So I went into the doctor because my heart rate, it was really cold. So I went into the doctor and she took my heart rate and she was like, you need to go into the hospital right now. Like, if it goes lower, something bad could happen, basically. And we took my weight, and I had dropped like 10 pounds in probably like 6 weeks or something, which is way too fast. But I had so much pain in my stomach from this ulcer that, like, when I ate, I'd have to literally lay down. But yeah, it all stemmed from stress and from being just overworked. So 5 days in the hospital where I'm actually not even able to work. And it's such a scare on my body and, from my family and people I was seeing that just, I was like, all right, slow down, girl.
So in that moment where you're spending 5 days basically debilitated in the hospital, which, I mean, I'm thinking about myself. If I couldn't work for 5 days, that just adds more stress, right? So you're like in the hospital from stress, but then it's causing more stress on you. When was that aha moment for you of like, okay, this is my actionable of like how I'm going to incorporate more downtime into my life?
Sorry, will you say that one again?
Yeah. How were you able to leave the hospital and then work that into your schedule, work that downtime? Like, okay, from 6 to 8 at night, this is my dinner relaxing time. Or what did you do to change your schedule?
Yeah, I think the phone was a really big thing for me. Like, I was very attached to my phone because my whole business is on there. I have my email, my store, our social, name it. We all have that these days, but it was still pretty new then. E-commerce really was just getting started. So, for me, one thing was just turning off, putting my phone on airplane mode at a certain time of night, because I was also having really bad sleep issues, which I know a lot of people have. And I highly recommend this to everyone is that, let's say you're going to bed maybe at like 10:30, put your phone on airplane mode an hour and a half earlier, or even just put it on airplane mode at night, because even if you turn it off, I don't know what it is, but you still are aware and still feel like things are going to come through that you need to check on. And it has changed my life. I got a sleep study done trying to figure out what the issue was. I mean, you name it. But yeah, putting that on airplane mode was a really big help. Another thing was just in keeping my workout routine in the morning, making sure I put that, I keep my balance that way. And then just not working every weekend. I would literally get up on a Saturday morning and just work all day and then work all Sunday. So now I'm like, Saturdays, you are not allowed to work, Demi. Even if you have so much on your plate, you can start on Sunday at like 2.
Absolutely. It'll still be there. And I'm laughing because I recognize myself in so much of what you're saying. Sometimes you just have to give yourself that stern pep talk of like, listen, it will be there. You are not doing brain surgery where someone is going to die if you don't do this work right this second. Like, the email can be responded to tomorrow. You're still an efficient worker. No one's going to question your hard work. You have to like constantly give yourself those pep talks. So I'm glad to hear that it's not just me.
It's not. I think it's everyone, especially in this day and age where everything's so instant. You get a text message, it could be about work. And because it's a text message, you feel like you need to respond right away. Another thing that I've done, because I have a lot of work coming through my phone, is I do feel really a lot of pressure to respond right away. So I move them over to email, and I'll just say, hey, can you send me an email? Even if we're deep in conversation, I'm like, you know what? Can we move this to email, please? Because I need to handle this off my phone because I feel like I need to respond to you every 4 seconds.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are really good tips. Well, speaking of social media, 12th Tribe has obviously a great presence on Instagram. What has been your overall social media strategy?
There's, like I said, there was a lot of collaboration in the beginning. There still is today. So when I first started, I was styling girls that were influencers. That word was not even a thing 3 years ago, which is crazy to me. So my friends who were working with other brands that needed styling or needed a photographer because I was shooting it too, and I would offer my service. And they would post in my clothes and tag me and bring over, there's a lot of followers that way. We'll do giveaways off here and there, maybe like once or twice a quarter now, which has always been really helpful. And then just really been organic, like creating content people want to share, or during festival seasons, probably like our highest shared content time, just because people are looking for so much outfit inspiration. So that's been really helpful. But yeah, that shortly sums it up.
Okay. That's a lot. That's good. And what do you think has been the most beneficial thing you've done in your business to make you so successful and grow so quickly?
The most beneficial thing. It took me a long time to delegate, not a long time, but it took me probably like a year and a half to delegate, and hire people, just because I had this superhero syndrome. Like, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I don't want to relinquish control. However, as soon as I started hiring and delegating things off my plate, things started to move a lot quicker and just more seamless and created more structure and systems. So I feel like we're really just getting started with that as well. I mean, we're really still such a small company and small team. We're small, but freaking mighty. My team is mighty. People think we're like 100-person team. And I'm like, yeah, there's like 7 of us.
7.
Yeah.
That's still a lot for a relatively new company. What do you look for in someone that you're hiring?
Oh man, I got a full list, but the top thing is that they can wear a lot of hats, because working in a small, fast growing company, you have to be able to shift gears quickly and be open-minded to take on other roles that are similar to yours, but sometimes not similar to yours, and be okay with, adapting to those sudden changes. But that's probably one of the biggest things. Also, just innovation and, hard work. I don't really think that for the roles I've been hiring recently, where they graduated from has not been top priority for me. Yeah, the diploma and yeah, having graduated is great. But if they have incredible work experience and they have an insane work ethic, for me, I just value that so much, because I've learned so many things in the last 4 years, and about a whole new industry, that if someone new is coming into my team, I care about them wanting to just learn and hustle and get it done.
All right. So anyone who has just graduated out there is hope for you no matter what school you went to, which maybe some people listening to this are like, why are they even mentioning that? And I do feel like in LA or in big cities, it's a big deal of where you went to college. And so the fact that I think so many tech companies and so many new brands don't care about that is really cool, because what's most important is their hustle, really.
Yeah, and I don't discredit, where people went to school, and it definitely is impressive if someone comes in from a specific school. But it's interesting because I've interviewed people from an Ivy League school versus someone who maybe just graduated from a state school. And I can say just because I graduated from a state school. And like, their work ethic is completely different in the workplace setting. It's so interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing too, is like going into the market. If you are just graduating and you're listening to this, don't put yourself down because of where you graduated or compare yourself. Just go into interviews showing that you can get things done and really start getting that work experience under your plate, because the real life experience is so valuable.
You had a lot of experience in the fashion world before you started 12th Tribe, but were there any other insecurities that you had to overcome to kind of believe in yourself that you could do this as a brand?
The idea that there are so many other brands, and the idea that I don't know what I'm doing. I never took an Excel class. I never took a finance class. I never have opened an Excel sheet in college ever. I studied communication. What did you study?
Communications.
And I had no business knowledge at all. And, there'd be times where maybe things weren't going as well. And I'm like, that's one thing that was hard for me is like, I've never worked in a corporate setting. I've never had a real job. I just went right into this. Before I worked at a restaurant in high school. I did like a PR and PR internship, but I never walked in to a first day of work with like a company handbook and your benefits and everything and culture. And so, I've never had anyone show me that way. So sometimes I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've literally creating things out of thin air. So yeah.
And you're doing it and you're thriving. And now you have a team and you're creating culture, and you're giving everyone else hope out there that you can do it regardless of whether you're shown the way or not. And I know a lot of companies out there that are corporate that don't have a great culture or environment. So I think sometimes that being a little naive to what it could be or should be allows you to be creative and create the team that is important for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I've really admired how creative you and your team have been over the years, and with your partnerships and your marketing and throwing parties at your headquarters in Venice.
Have you been to one?
Yeah, I went to a party last summer, or something. It was so fun. I popped in.
Is going crazy during those times. People are like, it was so good to see you. And I'm like, I don't remember anything because my adrenaline is through the roof.
So for everybody that's listening that hasn't been to one of your parties, what are they like?
Oh gosh, the best day of your life. I'm pretty sure it is the best day of my life in LA. You went to Hayden James, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've done two. So we did one with Dolce Vita and Louis the Child right before COVID. And we're really fortunate to have an amazing office on the beach. So we have a space where we can bring together the community of Venice and Los Angeles, and like our group of friends and their extended friends and people in the industry. And we will host a DJ there. A DJ will come in and play a set for sunset. And yeah, it's just a good way to have brand exposure, but also to just bring the people together. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is. Did you want to do that for mostly fun or mostly to help the brand?
Both. Unfortunately, we can't do everything for fun, just for fun, So Louis the Child and Dolce Vita was to launch into festival season. So 12th Tribe, Louis Child, and Dolce Vita. That was an amazing event. Unfortunately, COVID swiped that, out of here, which was fine, but we had incredible exposure. Not to toot my own horn, but like literally the next day we had Diplo's manager be like, all right, you guys, I heard you guys threw that party. Us next. I'm like,
no way. Demi, that's amazing.
Oh, okay. And then I had Universal Music, and then I had Sirius XM Radio. And I was like, oh my God, we're not an event company, but let's go.
Maybe you should add that onto your resume.
I know. So right before COVID, and that was all happening. I'm literally strategizing, okay, how do we have an event category in this business? Because there were so many things coming our way. So anyways, back to the original question, it is for brand exposure, and just to be involved and bring music and fashion together in just a unique way.
And not every clothing company does that. Majority of clothing companies don't do that. And so I know from my time going to the party, I mean, LA is big, but as you know, it is actually so small, especially when on the West Side with, young entrepreneurial spirits that I feel like we run around in similar circles because of that. And so to have somebody like you throw a cool event and get everybody together, I mean, that's really special for everybody.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was mostly so rewarding because everyone that left was just so, like they were so happy. They really just gave us the best feedback because even though like the weather was amazing and the music was amazing, the people in there, for some reason, I really believe your vibe attracts your tribe because in that party, everyone was so cool. Like everyone was so down to earth and was having a good time. And so many people met each other and it was just amazing.
Yeah. Well, obviously with COVID and the way this year has happened, there's been no Coachella. You guys haven't had an opportunity to throw any more parties, but what's next for 12th Tribe?
So we are expanding into a lot more of our own products. We were working with third parties before, like the brands I was talking about earlier, but we're designing, so many more things. And we just launched a YouTube channel, which is fun. We're going to go more behind the scenes and show you guys, more about the life behind in the industry because it's so glamorous from, looking at the front of it. So they'll get to know the models and the team and we'll do some styling. Let's see what else. Oh, there's always so many things. E-commerce is just growing so rapidly. So just trying to navigate it and, keep giving the people what they want.
Exactly. Well, you guys seem to be on the forefront of all of that. So congratulations to you and all of your team.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they kill it. But we're just trying to keep up over here.
Yeah, everyone's just trying to take a deep breath while also running a marathon at the same time.
Yeah, during a pandemic and
during a pandemic
revolution.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we have this new segment on the show called Ask a Friend. For all of you listeners out there, if you haven't had an opportunity to check out the new website, ihavecoolfriends.com, my phone number is listed right there for you to leave a voicemail with all your business, wellness, and personal development questions. I've curated 3 of your guys' questions that we get to ask our expert, Demi. So Jen from Colorado asks, what's your advice on building strong brand recognition?
So I would probably ask another question and ask what type of brand, and in terms of on social, I mean, just making sure that like placing product on people on social or in places in a way that is more organic and not so pushed, I guess, or what's the word I'm trying to say here?
Placed.
Yeah.
Placed.
Yeah. So a more organic approach into the market. And then it just takes time, honestly. People aren't going to remember your brand instantly. It takes, like 16 times for someone to see something and you just have to keep putting it out there.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Amanda from California says, what's an easy way to elevate my style on a daily basis?
The shirt you're wearing.
I'll make sure to link it and to tag it.
No, I mean, honestly, though, you can elevate with that shirt. It's called the Budapest silk blouse. It's just a button up white blouse and you can wear it so many different ways. But paying attention to just like the fabrics and the materials that you're wearing can really help elevate. And also accessorizing makes everything just a little bit as a step up from really everything that you have going on before, even if it's lounge. So we're about to launch an incredible sweat collection, but we are taking a more elevated approach to it. And we really accessorized it and turned it up a little bit. But yeah, I think accessories always help with that.
And how appropriate for the times with everybody working from home and wanting a little bit more elevated loungewear. So it's amazing. All right. Molly in Washington asks, as an entrepreneur, you're juggling a lot of responsibilities. How do you decompress?
I love to work out and just kind of lose sight of the time and, everything going on. I get so focused in my workouts, and that really helps me reset. I also love to get massages. I'm kind of bougie like that, but it really helps my stress levels so much. Being out in nature is really important. Turn off your phone, leave it in the car, whatever it might be. Be present in the world and in nature. It is such a beautiful thing. And even if you're just going to the beach, you don't have to hike into the forest, but just take a walk or be more aware as you are doing those things too. And just, really be in touch with yourself. I think those are all really helpful.
Great. All right. So we have one more new segment on the show called I Have Cool Recs. And so since you're a cool friend, I'm assuming you also have cool recommendations for everybody. So I wanted to get your recommendations on a book that might be a current favorite.
So this will probably just resonate with entrepreneurs. But, you could also read this if you're managing a team. I first will just say I love like personal development books. So right now I'm reading this book called Traction, and it's about just how to like get someone involved when someone starts in your company, or if you're managing a team, like some of the techniques to be a better leader, or, just have better management skills. That's a very challenging part of running a business. You're working with so many different personalities, different types of people and desires. So just making sure everyone gets what they want.
And you're not very old. So I'm assuming you're hiring people around your same age, maybe a couple years younger. So does that add an extra layer of stress that you're kind of managing or the boss of your peers?
Yes and no. It's very, it's great because I'm going into work every day with people who feel like my friends. We all relate so well. But they all respect me, which is amazing. It's challenging because we are so close. So finding that fine line of, like how much personal and how much business. But I have some people that work for me that are older as well. And, they all respect me. So it hasn't been too tough.
Good. That's awesome. Especially when everyone's working for a common goal, hopefully that alleviates some stress when everyone wants to see the brand take off.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all very united under one mission, which is amazing. And everyone is so empowering towards each other. And, if someone new starts, everyone else has their back. So if they have a question, everyone's there to help them out or train them in a way. Everyone's so familiar with so many aspects of the brand, which is so cool. And, they see it growing too. And, it is an exciting brand to work with because everyone's so involved with what they do that they're going to see the outcome of it. There's not like 20 people that you have to get through to get an idea passed through. It's like someone walks through my door and talks to me about it. And usually we're like, let's go. So, yeah.
It's awesome. All right. Do you have a podcast recommendation?
Not a particular episode right now, but I do love, typical like Lewis Howes is great, Jay Shetty, NPR. What other podcasts do you like?
I like Jenna Kutcher, The Boss Babe. My favorite podcast is probably Around the NFL because I really like football.
Oh, cool. I love that.
So if I can't see all of the games on Sunday because I'm working, I like to catch up on podcasts.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. What about TV shows or movie recommendations?
I don't really watch that much TV, but now I'm on this whole kick of like the social dilemma issue, and that put me down a whole rabbit hole. So that's really interesting, and everyone should just watch that. I forced my little brothers to watch it with me when I was home, and I'm just, whole different world. But another one that probably has been overlooked because it's a little bit old is American Meme.
Mm.
Have you watched that?
Yeah, I watched that when it came out. I should probably watch that now that The Social Dilemma just came out.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's 2 years, maybe a little bit older than that. 2 years old.
Mhm.
So it's not even where it's at today. And they're talking about it like they are then, but it's more centered around celebrities and the effect of being in the limelight. And Paris Hilton's story is very interesting that I didn't really know about. So yeah, I recommend.
Her being like the OG influencer from back in the day and all of the, I guess, positive and negative effects that it had on these viral Instagram celebs. What did you think of The Social Dilemma?
I mean, it's pretty insane. And it's interesting because I'm very aware this is all happening, especially being in e-commerce. I work on the ad platforms. I'm familiar with, retargeting and the AI behind everything. But for me, what's so hard to wrap my head around is just the younger generations and the impact that social media really is having with them. Like I put on my story the other day, just these filters and how I want to just like anti-filter, because if my 14-year-old self was looking at these filters on my face thinking, wow, I look so amazing. And then I were to get a photo back from my friend and I look nothing like it and I don't like that look, I would be 400 times more depressed. When I was younger, I had no self-confidence. Like I didn't like my body. Didn't think I was cute. I cannot imagine. So, it's just something that I think, if you do have kids, you definitely should watch this and really think about like how you can make an impact in your kids' lives, because it's only going to get worse if it's not controlled.
That was actually the scariest thing for me when I watched it too, because I think being a teenage girl is just tough in general. Your body is changing. And I don't know, with kids these days, it seems like they don't go through an awkward stage the way that like our generation all had to go through an awkward stage.
Why are you all hot? You're all and hot.
They look like they're 21, but I think it's because they YouTube like makeup transformations and they're, get home from school and they're practicing all these Kim Kardashian looks on their face to look like the filters that are being provided. And I think, I'm 28 now and sometimes I'm like, man, I need a filter because I, having a rough day, but I'm old enough to realize that it's not real. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you elevate it and it's like, I want to have like this for the day. But like, I realize that's not affecting who I am and my self-worth. Yeah. But if I was that young, impressionable teenage girl who already was insecure about how I was looking or didn't have boobs or whatever I was insecure about that day, it would really affect me.
Yeah, same here. I mean,
do you think that there should be an age limit on social media?
There will be in my households, but it's hard because, yeah, probably, honestly, because the another issue is like, if you don't let your kid have it, but everyone else does, they're going to feel left out because there's so much social interaction on there. So there almost needs to be this like cutoff for them. But at the end of the day, these businesses are doing this for money. So imagine how much money they would lose if they lost an entire user base.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kids these days, I read this somewhere that so many kids want their career to be on YouTube. Like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a YouTuber. And it's hard, I'm sure, as a parent to say no when you see all these stories of these famous YouTubers making millions and millions and millions of dollars. But if YouTube, stopped tomorrow, what would all of these people do?
Yeah. And how is that like bettering the future of the world? People who wanted to be teachers are now getting sidetracked because they have a $3,000 post that they can make in 30 seconds and just to show off a piece of clothing. So yeah, something has to change for sure. I could talk hours for this. It's crazy what's going on.
Yeah, I know. And it's interesting talking to you about it because you're obviously on e-commerce is a big part of your business. And with the fashion industry, I think that you could go down a rabbit hole of a lot of other issues in the fashion industry with body types and clothing and insecurities and all of that. So I mean, I think it's just good that people that are at the forefront of the industry like you are even having these thoughts of like, how can I help the next generation versus like, how can I manipulate them even further into buying my clothes? And at the end of the day, I think it's just not about that.
It's not. And that's a challenging part about fashion too, is like how do you break what has been done for so long? Like the look of a model or just the appearance of them, or, how do you bring in more of a different element that helps them be more aware of those things? So it's really interesting.
Is that an aspect of fashion that you and your team brainstorms on?
Yeah. I mean, especially with, the whole movement in June and still today, but the industry is notorious for not showcasing enough diversity for sure. And, we take blame, but also like the agencies also need to be involved, because if we go and ask for a book of models, there's like one option of a colored girl. So, it's like so much more than just the brand that needs to change. But yeah, I mean, I'm constantly thinking about how do we, like on our story yesterday, we had a whole conversation just about anxiety and coping with anxiety and like different questions. So we're just trying to kind of, I don't know, desensitize some of that and find ways to allow girls to maybe rely on us more than just clothes.
Yeah. Well, I think it all starts with a good conversation, which is why I'm appreciative of you being on this show, because I do want to talk about those hard topics and spark that conversation. And I film a reaction video and it'll be on YouTube after this. So I'll actually ask a question to the listeners relating to what we're chatting about. So it'll be interesting to see what they respond and if they agree or disagree. And I think it's great to disagree. I don't know. I think it's great to agree to disagree. And
I want you to be like, no, I think it's right because of this.
Because of this, right?
Yeah, it helps you find the answer to the problem.
Absolutely. And I think iron sharpens iron. And I think that's a very athletic approach to life. But I really do believe that. And I think that in this case, it's great to agree to disagree respectfully.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But okay, so talking about a friend, do you have a friend that you want to hype up that is maybe doing something cool?
Man, I got a lot of cool friends doing cool things. Dang. But one of them who I'm really proud of, she has an underwear subscription company. It's called Booty Bag. You heard of that?
No, I haven't, but I'd love to.
Yeah, it's an underwear subscription company. I can say this now because the preview is out, but she just went on Shark Tank, and I have to watch Shark Tank season 12 because she did a really great job. But she's from my hometown. I've known her since high school, and
What's her name?
Her name's Ellie. Yeah,
Ellie.
talking about not needing the degree to make shit happen. So she's been really impressive and super inspiring.
Awesome. What's her last name so people can look her up and follow her?
Gano.
How do you spell that?
Geno.
All right. Awesome. Well, we will tag them and let them know you gave them a shout out. But thank you so much. I mean, we could go down and talk about the social media dilemma like crazy, but even just touching on the subject, I think is really important. So thanks for sharing all of your knowledge with us.
Yeah, of course.
All right. How can listeners follow you or find you on social media?
I am on Instagram and only Instagram and LinkedIn. But my handle is at Demi Marchese, which may be written somewhere so they can see some spelling, but that's my personal. And then you can follow 12th Tribe on Instagram at shop12thtribe. Shop12thtribe and shop12thtribe.com. We got an app. We got a YouTube channel. We got TikTok. We got all the things.
Awesome. Well, I will link all of the things. But for people listening, just so they can have it in their brain, it's good that you tell them also. So thank you again for your time. I know you're juggling a million hats. So for you to take time out of your day, I'm really appreciative.
Thanks. I mean, it's great. I'm glad we were able to finally connect.
All right, guys, listeners, thank you again. And don't forget to use the friend line to ask your questions about business, wellness, and personal development. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment, and get in on the follow-up conversation on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube channel. So tune in for the next episode next week. Thanks, guys.